So, this video that I'm recording now, I wanted to directly invite you to feel into yourself. So, this video isn't so much a intellectual understanding video. I'm not going to break down methods and concepts and ideas. What I want to do is invite you to feel into your own direct experience as deeply as you possibly can. And what this really is about trust, about trusting and letting go of the need to decide what is safe to feel, letting go of the part of us that feels like it needs to manage and control. Often it can feel like we're holding distance from certain parts of our experience. And I want to invite you to let go of that. So, however this video lands for you is just fine. But what I really want it to be is, an invitation that it's okay for you to really feel into the deepest part of yourself, the part of you actually wants to do, that a part of you has been wanting to do for a very long time, maybe. And we learn to doubt ourselves so much that we're not even aware of that. We repressed our own deepest instincts and intuitions, and instead we'll find ourselves bouncing around in the mind about who we should be, what we should be doing, what's right, what's wrong, how to fit in with all these identities that we learned over time. But it's not that complicated. We can really just drop all of that. And even if the mind says a million things about, I don't understand, how do I do this? Is this it? Is that it? That's fine. That's the mind making thoughts, doubting. But that's not what this is about. This is me saying that you can trust beyond that. And maybe we don't even know what that is at first. Maybe at first we don't know that there's anything beyond the mental chatter and the mental world of the world, me, my problems. But of course there is. Of course there's something deeper. But we need to stop and allow ourselves to go there. Who are we when there's no problem to solve? When there's nothing that's off limits in experience? When there's nothing we need to hold distance from? And maybe, again, we just get the slightest resonance with this. We're still doubting, we're still struggling, but we get the slightest resonance. That's all that really matters, is trusting that, going towards that, opening up to a part of ourselves that we forgot about, that we haven't been opening up to, that we ignore in our experience. So what is it like when we just drop past and future and explore this moment, explore this experience, and explore where we're holding distance? So it doesn't matter if nothing dramatic happens right now. That's not what this is about. But it's an invitation into a different way of being. And that way of being is about allowance. It's about deep feeling and the relief that comes with that, with not having to force something out of experience. So just drop that into your experience. What would it mean if there was no place in my experience that was not allowed right now. Even the thoughts saying, oh, but not this, but that can't be allowed. Even that thought is just innocent, because it's being allowed in experience right now. It's appearing in this moment just as it is. Again, if we drop past and future, then there's just a thought. Then there's just what's happening now. And there's only a problem when we believe that the thought is about something outside of this. But that's just more thought. So come back to allowing yourself to drop your guard, to feel into the unknown, to feel into your own vulnerability. Because we're way more vulnerable than the mind likes to pretend, but we hide that from ourselves. But that's where you want to go. You want to feel into, who am I if I don't even have any say in what I experience? If I'm so vulnerable that I open my arms to whatever's here before I can decide whether I want that here or not. That's vulnerability. It's not saying, okay, I'll open my arms to that which I want to feel. It's, I'll open my arms to whatever is here because it is here. And because it's here, it's just right. Because it can't be any other than it is. But we can create a tremendous amount of struggle by wishing that what was here wasn't here. And we can be really uncomfortable in ourselves when we're not acknowledging our own deepest instinct of trust and letting go. That is uncomfortable. That is why suffering is your greatest guide, because it's showing you where you're afraid to look, and it's uncomfortable to compartmentalize certain parts of our experiences. Don't go there. And there's a part of us this is uncomfortable. This isn't right. And eventually we address that. We're forced to, depending on the path, right? Everybody's path is different, but we come to a place maybe where we don't have a choice anymore. The mind is backed into a corner where the feeling world of sensation becomes so intense that it turns into pain. And now we have no choice but to go into it. And then we learn the art of surrender, because the more we fight it, the more uncomfortable it is. But once we start to explore this, that felt like our worst suffering, and we go into it, it is exactly where we want to go. And it's uncomfortable because it was calling our attention so much, but we were fighting so hard to stay in the mind, in thought, in concept. But this was calling us, and eventually you have no choice. So this is an invitation to let go into all of those spaces that you're afraid to, and to know and trust in yourself in that experience beyond the mind, beyond the thoughts saying, oh, but I can't feel this. I'm not allowed to feel this. Understanding that that's just conditioning. But what's more primary is the experience itself, and that is allowed. And it's not going to, anything you welcome with open arms, it's not going to go wrong. It might feel like it might get really intense. It might feel intense in the body. The mind might react with intense thoughts saying, this is too much for me. I can't take this, I'm going to die. If I go here, I can't do that. That can all happen. But that's because we're still clinging on to the mind and holding distance. We're holding distance by relaying a narrative on top of the physical experience. So if we notice that, it's absolutely okay. But realize that if we keep letting go into this experience with open arms, it is the right way to go. It's not going to destroy you. It can't. It will force you to let go of identities, maybe, that feel like you, but it's just mental constructs that we mistakenly took to be ourselves for a long time. So let the thoughts be there and welcome them with open arms, and welcome the fear with open arms, and know that you can go beyond all of that. And trust yourself. This is an invitation for you to know that it's okay, you can go into these spaces. You know that you can, but maybe the doubt was so strong that we need to hear it from somebody else who's gone there. And I can tell you that the best thing that I've ever done is to keep on going into these spaces. And no matter how uncomfortable it feels at first, no matter how scary it feels at first, no matter how much I hold back, and no matter how much resistance there is in my experience, the more I keep coming back to this. It's the only way. Anything else I'm doing is distraction and avoidance, and it's ultimately dissatisfactory in the long run. And whenever I choose to go deeper and let go more, it's so worth it. So I invite you to do the same if this resonates, and to let you know that it's safe to do so. It's not safe for the separate mind that wants to live apart from life. So be warned. with the illusion will dissolve, right? So many things that feel like us might dissolve, and concepts might dissolve as we see beneath that. So it's not safe for that part of reality, but that part of reality is illusion. That is mental constructs that we learned to go into to avoid feeling certain things. But eventually it gets uncomfortable because we realize that it's not truth, it's not reality. It is, in a sense, there's nothing that's not reality, but we're not seeing clearly. We're missing out on a big part of this. So that's the cost of staying in that world. So let go in whatever way that you can. And this might look like practice. Practice for me is very helpful. Meditation, feeling, lots of different modalities, but it all comes down to this deeper willingness to open and let go and surrender and open and stop running and let go of narrative and label and come back into yourself. And the more you do this, the more it will clarify. And it does. So I hope that resonates. And trust yourself. Trust beyond yourself, beyond the mind, even deeper than that. All the best.